2013, International Law and the Arctic by Michael Byers.
It is such an incredible honor as a Canadian to win this prize for a book about a subject that for me and very many Canadians is part of our national psyche. I care about the Arctic, and I care about understanding the rules that exist in the Arctic and possible solutions to problems there, because I know that the future of this country is in the Arctic. Canada is the second largest country on Earth. 40% of Canada is Arctic. We have the longest coastline of any country in the world because of our 19,000 Arctic islands. And we have a long history of diplomacy and international law because as a relatively less powerful country compared to at least two of our Arctic neighbors, we've known that rules serve our interests. A lot of people these days ask me what Russia's actions in Crimea and in the rest of Ukraine mean for Arctic international relations. And I'd like to remind them that in 1973, at the height of the Cold War, Canada, the United States, and the other Arctic countries, including the Soviet Union, came together to negotiate a treaty called the Polar Bear Treaty. And because of that treaty in 1973, we, the Arctic peoples, saved that iconic species by prohibiting big game hunters from shooting the bears from icebreakers and helicopters. 1973. Just one more example, and it goes directly to Alan Gottlieb's contributions in this field. I've looked at a lot of history of the law and diplomacy of the Arctic, and some of Canada's greatest diplomats were involved in this and remain involved in this. And during the 1950s and the 1960s and the 1970s and the 1980s, Alan Gottlieb's fingerprints are all over these files. The Geneva Convention on the Law of the Sea, the Arctic Waters Pollution Prevention Act, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. Alan, you and your colleagues, Ivan Head, Len Legault, and many others, Alan Beasley, made it possible for me to write more than 300 pages about international law in the Arctic. There are lots of other people I could thank, but the fact that Alan is the chair of the Donner Foundation makes you the one at the top of my list. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, everyone. Let's do our best to protect and to serve the Arctic. Thank you.